WXII 12 News at 4:30 starts right now.
This is so incredibly harmful and cruel to children.
Coming up, what policy has people in the triad taking it to the streets? Plus,
he had no idea this was happening.
No, he doesn't even remember what happened.
we have an update on how the man who was hit by a driver outside of a Waffle House is doing and when that driver is expected in court in the triad. And what a report from the DOJ is revealing about former FBI Director James Comey. Good morning. It is Friday. Thanks for starting your morning off with us here at 4:30. Before we get a look at the forecast, let's take a closer look at a roller coaster incident that happened last night in Florida. The video is incredible. So far, we know 10 people had to be rescued, while 2 of those people were thrown off of this ride in Daytona Beach. No word on how they're doing this morning, but we're going to have much more on this situation coming up at 4:45. Now let's check in with meteorologist Brian Slocum, get some more details on a warming forecast. Good morning, B.
Looking a little hot as we head into late weekend, early next week. We had a couple of thunder boomers come through the area as that front dove in. As expected, it didn't bring a lot of rain. A lot of folks missed out. If you were fortunate enough, it was a nice late day shower. And as a result of that, we're starting to see some changes to the mix as this continues to drop through. Here's a 3-hour loop. You can see there isn't much around, indicating there might be a few sprinkles across our southern counties left over. I'm not very bullish on our rain chances today. In fact, I've got a dry forecast for your entire Friday. Temperatures have cooled to the north, not so much across the south. We still have some cloud cover around. Temperatures in the low to mid 70s. We have 60s in some of that dry air. Let's look at dew points. And we spent a lot of time on this, but I want to show you the difference in the humidity over our area. If you live along and south of I-85, it is still quite humid. The dry air has not quite reached you yet, but the dry air has moved into places like the mountains, the foothills, northern Piedmont, including the border counties where dew points have dropped quite nicely and will likely settle into the 50s today. It's pretty comfortable air for June. Even our southern areas, I think, will get a break from the higher humidity. Now, it's still going to be a warm day. Northeast winds, mostly sunny skies, high of around 86 or 87 degrees later this afternoon, but it's a drier heat, to borrow my friends from Arizona. It's a dry heat. It won't feel quite as oppressive, quite as humid as we head into the afternoon hours today. But again, plenty warm in the sun, a little more comfortable if you can get under an umbrella or find some shade. Temperatures tonight settling down into the 60s for early tomorrow. Notice we're relatively cloud-free, perhaps a few clouds during the day tomorrow, and maybe a brief shower as temperatures begin to heat up again. This is the beginning of a hotter weather trend that will likely bring the hottest temperatures of the year so far into the Piedmont Triad. We'll give you a look at those numbers coming up in just a few minutes.
Looking ahead now, if you're going to plan to travel through Winston-Salem tonight on Business 40, watch out for a detour. Starting at 10, crews are going to shut down the highway between Peters Creek Parkway and Cloverdale Avenue. They plan to open that section back up by tomorrow afternoon around 4. While it's closed, crews plan to add girders to the highway. Remember, you can find all the details about the improvement project on our website, WXII12.com, if you look under the Business 40 tab. And stick around for WXII 12 at 5. Our Mallory Lane will have a live report with more on what drivers can expect. Immigration policy is a hot topic across the country and here in the Triad. People are protesting against the Trump administration's policy of separating undocumented immigrant children from their parents. Yesterday, protesters organized what they call a sidewalk rally to educate people about these policies and encourage them to call their lawmakers if they don't agree with them. Listen to how a woman describes the impact this policy is having on kids.
This is so incredibly harmful and cruel to children. These little kids don't have any idea why they are being taken away from their parents.
Congress is expected to vote on a new immigration bill next week. A cyclist is recovering right now. A hit-and-run driver in Louisville left him with broken ribs, a fractured neck, and broken kneecaps. A driver's side mirror clipped Doug Meese while he was riding with the Piedmont Flyers Bicycle Club on Wednesday. At last check, he was in the ICU. Another cyclist has this message for the person responsible.
Whoever did this knows they did it. Just come forward and do the right thing. I mean, you know, Doug's injuries are bad. He's a great guy.
The Bicycle Club's offering a reward for information that leads to an arrest.
He was kind of defeated, you know, just couldn't believe this happened to him. But I think, it's more of like, I survived, I can get through this, but he just knows he has a long road ahead of him.
That woman's husband was hit by a car while walking near a Waffle House restaurant in Greensboro Wednesday night. So far, she says Derek Anderson has had surgery on his leg, but doctors think he also tore his rotator cuff. Police say Caitlin Kennedy was behind the wheel of the SUV that hit Anderson. She's charged with DWI, reckless driving, and driving with a revoked license. After Kennedy hit Anderson, she crashed into a Waffle House restaurant. It's been condemned. Fortunately, no one inside was hurt. Kennedy's free on bond right now. She's got a court date set for August. A state investigation is underway at the Forsyth County Detention Center, where authorities found a murder suspect dead in his cell. He's been identified as 71-year-old Johnny Patrick. Deputies found him unresponsive around 5:40 yesterday morning at the Forsyth County Detention Center. So far, investigators don't think anything suspicious happened, but they're still trying to figure out exactly how he died. Patrick was arrested in June of 2016 and was being held on a first-degree murder charge for the death of 58-year-old Tyrone Smith. A former Davidson County school teacher took a plea deal, and now all rape charges have been dropped against her. 50-year-old Lee Williams was arrested last August. Authorities accused her of having a sexual relationship with a 14-year-old boy. Williams faced numerous charges, including 2 counts of rape. But last month, prosecutors dropped all those charges in exchange for Williams pleading guilty to felony crime against nature. She's on probation now for 24 months. State lawmakers are sending more legislation to Governor Roy Cooper's desk. One new bill addresses school safety. It would give harsher punishment for threats of mass violence at a school or a church. These threats would become felonies instead of misdemeanors. First-time offenders under the age of 20 could get their charge dismissed in exchange for community service, probation, mental evaluation, and possible treatment. A new report by the Inspector General's office is criticizing former FBI Director James Comey for the way he handled the Clinton email investigation during the 2016 presidential campaign. This 500-page report finds Comey was insubordinate, deviated from FBI norms, and damaged the agency's image. President Trump says the report proves he was right to fire Comey.
It reaffirmed the president's suspicions about Comey's conduct and the political bias among some of the members of the FBI.
In a tweet, Comey called the report reasonable, but says he disagrees with it. New York Attorney General Barbara Underwood is suing the president's charity foundation, its board of directors, and several members of the president's family. She filed the complaint yesterday, saying the Trump Foundation repeatedly engaged in deals that only benefited the president and his business interests. Underwood wants the court to dissolve the foundation. The Trump Foundation calls the lawsuit, quote, politics at its very worst. A major switch-up ahead. What Bill Cosby is changing months before he's expected back in court.
Don't become frustrated and overwhelmed, and we can get the help that we need to stay out of trouble.
Plus, what a prison in Virginia is doing to make sure inmates are ahead of the curve once they're free. It's 4:38 on a Friday morning. You're watching WXII 12 News.
Your WXII 12 forecast is always available on the free WXII 12 app. Stay connected with meteorologist Brian Slocum on his Facebook page.
It's 4:41 and oh boy, is it Friday. We have some clearing conditions. We had some rain come through yesterday. Things are clearing out. I've got a dry forecast today and it's actually going to feel pretty good today. Now we're still warm this morning, especially across the tri, but notice the cooler greens and yellows are starting to really flare up as dry air has begun to move into the area. Now dew points again haven't lowered all that much. It's still a little steamy farther south, but it's starting to feel better across our northern counties. Now as far as temperatures go, northeast winds will cool us a little bit. We did hit a high of 91 yesterday. We're back in the mid to upper 80s today with a high of around 87 degrees this afternoon. But from after today, we're going to be back in the 90s and in some cases well into the 90s. I'm going to give you your first look at the 7-day forecast. You might need to get the air conditioner ready for this one coming up in a bit.
There are 6 names in the running for High Point's baseball team, but get this, there's a twist, a wild card, something you haven't heard before. So here are the current choices picked out of 1,800 names. The High Point Chairmen, Dragon Claws, Pioneers, Rockers, Splinters, and the High Point Tri-Stars. The wild card? The Rocker Sox. That name was added after looking at fan feedback to include the city's furniture and textiles history. And the final name will be picked June 28th. The fan who came up with the winning name will win season tickets for the 2019 season.
I need my medication. This company makes billions and they give us nothing.
Coming up, what workers at Disneyland plan on doing today to get more money in their pockets. Plus, evening out the playing field, how an initiative will help students who want to go to the University of Chicago. It's 4:43 on a Friday morning. You're waking up with the Triad's #1 news.
You're watching WXII 12 News.
All right, for 446 this morning, rain has moved out. We didn't even see a lot of it yesterday, but it did produce a couple of evening showers and some afternoon showers across the northern areas. We're going to dry things out temporarily today, take temperatures out of the 90s, put them back in the 80s for a while, but it's still pretty warm this morning, although the air is still starting to dry out over the region today. Temperatures closer to 60 in Martinsville, still holding on to some 70s over the area. It'll be interesting to see when our 5 o'clock numbers come in and our 6 o'clock numbers, how much we've cooled since then with the dry air moving in. Temperatures still very, very warm, but less humid. High of 87 degrees this afternoon, just above average for today. Temperatures 60s tonight, and then Mother Nature's going to crank up the heat. Your 7-day forecast is coming. I'll have more on that coming up in a bit.
Right now, Bill Cosby's getting acquainted with his new legal team. He got rid of the team who represented him during his criminal retrial. A spokesperson for Cosby confirmed this information but did not say why Cosby fired his old team. Cosby was found guilty in April of 3 counts of aggravated indecent assault for drugging and sexually assaulting Andrea Constant in 2004. He faces up to 10 years in prison for each count. Cosby is out on bail right now. His sentencing hearing is scheduled for September 24th and 25th. New this morning in Florida, a roller coaster went off the tracks and now several people are recovering. Matt Lipoli from our NBC affiliate station in Orlando has more from the scene.
2 people were thrown from this roller coaster on the Daytona Beach boardwalk. Officials say 34 feet to the ground. They were among 6 people rushed from here to the hospital. You can see one of the cars from the ride is still dangling here. 4 people were inside that car alone. 2 of them were the ones who were thrown off. The other 2 were trapped on the car, and the Daytona Beach Fire Department has shared video with us of their rescue. Several other people had to be pulled off the other cars using the ladder from a fire truck. 10 people in total were rescued from the ride. 6 in total were taken to the hospital. We heard from fire officials about the dramatic rescue just moments afterward.
It was chaotic, as you can imagine. There was a lot of people in the area. The riders were very frightened, and the firefighters were doing a great job of trying to make sure that everyone stayed calm so the rescue could go off successfully.
Officials say they're still assessing the extent of the injuries along with what caused the ride to malfunction. From Daytona Beach, Matt Lipoli reporting.
Listen to this. In Virginia, someone's cell phone hit a woman in the face while they were on a roller coaster. The incident left Rianne Mayfield with a concussion and she had to get stitches. Mayfield says she's traumatized and she thinks the park should have new rules to protect people during rides.
I feel like they should implement that if you do have a cell phone, that it does need to be placed in the bin because things like this could be avoided.
The owner of the cell phone did check on Mayfield and apologized. Also in Virginia, a prison is trying to help inmates transition from life behind bars to life in the real world. The prison held a resource fair which connected inmates with programs to help them adjust to life outside. The men had the chance to chat with vendors who can help them with anything from finding homes to jobs. Here's why an inmate says the fair is beneficial.
I don't have a lot of family down here. Well, I have no family in Norfolk. And, you know, basically when I get out, I have to find somewhere to stay. So, you know, the housing and, you know, stuff like that helps me out a whole lot.
Studies have shown that inmates who participate in some sort of educational program are 43% less likely to reoffend. Today, Disneyland workers in Anaheim, California plan to deliver a petition to Disney's CEO because they're not happy with their pay. Yesterday, employees rallied in front of the park's gates. A report released this year finds Disneyland resort employees often struggle to make ends meet.
We don't want the millions like they're making. We just want to be able to pay our rent, have a place to pay rent. Food on our table. I take medication. I need my medication.
Disneyland is the largest employer in Anaheim. Looking ahead, later today, students, a part of the March for Our Lives organization, will kick off the bus tour in Chicago. This tour is intended to get young people to vote and will go across the country for more than 60 days. Among other things, organizers say they're going to talk to young people about gun reform. Students who organized this tour survived the mass shooting at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida on Valentine's Day. The University of Chicago made history yesterday by announcing undergraduate prospects no longer have to submit ACT or SAT scores. It's the first major research university to do this. It's part of their Empower initiative to help out low-income and first-generation college students. The university will also provide full tuition scholarships to students whose families earn less than $125,000 a year. The initiative will begin with the class of 2023. Someone went to great lengths to steal an original print by famed street artist Banksy in Toronto over the weekend. Check him out on your screen. The man put a shirt over his face to hide his identity, walked over to the exhibition, took the painting, then walked right out the door. Now get this, the entire collection's about $35 million it's worth, and the piece he took is valued at $45,000. Now take a look at this video of storm damage in Pennsylvania that hit a county Wednesday night. So far, officials say the storm hurt 6 people. It ripped the roofs off of several homes and flipped several cars over. More than a dozen businesses were either damaged or destroyed. Got meteorologist Brian Slocum with me now, and I think I read yesterday they confirmed that was a tornado that hit Pennsylvania.
Yeah, it certainly looked by from the damage and the extent of it, it was a relatively small area that was hit. Normally when you look at straight line versus tornado, they can do equal amounts of damage, but tornado has a path, whereas straight line wind tends to fan out from a point and kind of move out. So anyway, I'm not sure why I'm talking about this. Let's get you ready for the weekend. The more you know. Temperatures over the area this morning are certainly on the mild side, especially across the south. We have lower 70s over the area getting you out the door today. More comfortable, Galaxon and Martinsville, where temperatures are in the lower 60s. Something is happening in the atmosphere. We're squeezing out the air. Temperatures are cooler there, where the air is a little bit drier. We got some room to cool under clearing skies. We're pretty close to yesterday's numbers, and the sticky situation still in place this morning, especially Lexington and Asheboro, where the dew point is still running a bit high. So that front that is coming through, the word triad is right underneath the front itself. Drier air to the north, more humid conditions expected farther south for a while today. This front will continue gradually easing to the south, but by Saturday the warm air will take over again, and then it starts to get hot. We're going to start to see something happening in the atmosphere, allowing temperatures to start heating up. We're going to start to see that heat building in the Midwestern states and then begin moving into the Piedmont and really across the east over the next several days, taking temperatures back into the 90s and in some cases well into the 90s. We're sitting at 73 degrees at PTI Airport, low to mid 70s for really the coastal 2/3 of the state. Only the mountains and foothills have started to cool things down, but we have lower 60s from Roanoke down to Asheville today. A high of around 87 degrees, still a little warmer than average. The difference is it's going to feel less humid, especially across our northernmost areas. Northeast winds at 5 to 10 will start to lighten up later on this evening. Should be very comfortable this evening, and we're down in the 60s for early tomorrow morning. High of 85 in the foothills. East winds are light at about 5 miles per hour at best. Mountain winds are going to stay very light too, with a high close to 80. Maybe a pop-up shower storm in the evening with that upslope flow. I'm not really excited about rain chances today, or really even through the weekend, but we'll have a few thunder boomers around. Just a couple, not too many, to offer us any heat relief as those temperatures start to climb. 87 degrees in the Triad today. Look at the amount of sunshine we have in the mix. Clear skies tonight. Start to bring in a few more Saturday clouds as that warm front lifts through, and that'll take temperatures near 90. You see a little bit of rain dancing around. That certainly will be a possibility. Here it comes. 7-day forecast. Temperatures lower 90s by Sunday, approaching the mid-90s Monday and Tuesday. We will increase the chance for storms later on this week and begin to bring our temperatures down a bit. But this is going to be the longest stretch of hot weather we've seen so far this season, so let's all get ready for that.